Welcome back, CNC family. Today I'm going to teach you another way of checking the spacing on your designs so that you can make sure you have, typically I like to leave an 1/8 inch at least thickness on any major detail, anything that's structural. Normally, and I've taught this for years, many people use it, but normally I tell people to take your ellipses and arcs tool, hold control, pull down, draw a circle. That's just in stroke. I'll turn my fill back on, turn the stroke off. I've drawn a circle here, and normally what I tell people to do is take that circle, set it at whatever you want your minimum thickness to be. Typically I use an 1/8 inch, so I'll set it at 0.125. I've got my ratio locked here, so it scaled it both ways. Then you just take that, change the color of it, and I can drag that around my design and look for any place where that circle doesn't have ample spacing to fit. And that's how I would adjust or tell people how to adjust their details to make sure you have an 1/8 inch spacing. That's one way of doing it, and it's an effective way. But I just wanted to show you another way to do it that maybe people don't think about, and it's a good way to look at a design quickly and see if there's any problem areas. You can adjust it this way, or then you can once you have identified your problem areas, you can always go back to the circle tool, or you can just adjust them and recheck it with this method. So first, before I show you how I do it, I'll select the design. I'm going to turn the fill color off by hitting this X down here in my tool, my color palette. Then I will hold shift and select black, and that will turn my stroke on. So now I've turned the stroke on, and the thing I wanted to mention before I show you how to check the spacing is when you set your stroke width, the stroke width goes off the center both directions. So if I set a stroke width of an 1/8 inch, it's going to go 0.0625 this way and 0.0625 this way. In total, it'll be an 1/8 of an inch, but it's going to go in and out. So I just want you to understand that when you set your stroke width, it doesn't just go it doesn't go outer or inner. It starts from the center and goes out. So you'll have an equal distance on both sides of your line. Now because of that, what we'll do, if you want an 1/8 inch spacing, you select this design, go to your fill and stroke menu. If it's not open, you'll find it under Object, Fill and Stroke right there, and that will open this menu. Now here, under the stroke style, I can set this to 0.125, so that'll be an 1/8 inch stroke width. Hit enter, and now that'll quickly let you look around and see anywhere your details are touching, you're getting close to, or you're under an 1/8 of an inch. For example, this spot right here on the shovel, as you can see, that stroke runs right into the other stroke. So if I want to make sure that's an 1/8 of an inch, I can either turn this back off and go back and forth, but I would just go to my node tool, click on the path, and then hold shift, select these nodes on this detail, and I can bring this down. Now I know I've got at least an 1/8 of an inch, a little more right there spacing. Here that looks fine. It's barely touching, but that means I'm right at an 1/8 inch. And you can just work yourself around this design and look for any spots like this. Now these are touching, but this isn't really a structural part. This is just a little detail. That's probably not going to hurt anything. What I'm concerned with are main pieces that hold this design together. So I will scroll around and look. Here I'm getting just a little under an 1/8 inch, so I could just select that detail, move it in a touch, or you could just move those particular nodes, whatever you want to do. Work your way around the design, check it. Any place you're touching, you can move those details a little bit. And once you're done, you'll know confidently that you have an 1/8 inch space on these details. Nothing's touching. Here's another spot. So I can just work around and adjust those. It's not too hard to do. It's I'm gonna join that node. That's a problem there. You'll find it's pretty simple. It's a little weird looking at the design this way. The view seems a little off, so it takes a bit to get used to. But it's an easy way, rather than just dragging this little circle all over this design, checking spots. I can do this and work around a lot faster, adjust these details, adjust the spacing, and know confidently that I have ample space between these details without doing the little circle trick. Like I say, I'm not faulting my old circle trick. Many people do it. I've taught it to many, and it's an effective way to check your spacing, but this is another way of doing it that you may find useful. If you don't, feel free to go around with your circle and do it the old school way. So anyway, I've worked around, and then I can set this back when I'm done to the default, which is usually 0.01, so 10 thousandths. And that's what your default stroke is. It really doesn't matter when you send it to SheetCam. You could leave the stroke set on an 1/8 inch. It's still going to cut it the same. But I usually set it back to the default. And then I would turn my fill color back on, turn the stroke off. Also, though, worth noting, 1/8 inch is what I use for the structural integrity of the design, for any of these solid connecting pieces. But also worth noting is places like this, if this gets down under, let's say I'm cutting this with fine cut consumables, hypertherm, my kerf width is going to be 45 thousandths. So I have 45 thousandths wide kerf coming around in here. Now if this gets closer than 90 thousandths, that kerf will start to overlap. And that is not always, but that is, or can cause problems where you'll have a torch crash if your kerf gets too tight, because your kerf is essentially running back over itself. That'll cause your voltage to spike and cause your THC to dive down looking for the material. So another way you can also use this tool is I can go back, I can shut the fill back off, turn the stroke back on. Now I can set this to 90 thousandths on my stroke width, and then I can go around and do the opposite, and instead of looking at spaces like this, oh, didn't mean to move that, I'm looking at spaces like this where this kerf is going to overlap itself. So I can also use this method to go around and start tweaking these details and making sure that I have ample spacing for my torch kerf when it's cutting this design. Now you see I'm opening those up. That kerf comes close, but it won't overlap. And that can save you, if you go around and do that on all these spots, that can save you a lot of headache as far as torch crashes and just general problems. So you can go around and do this. Now of course, if I go around and adjust these details, adding room for this, once I'm done, I may want to go back around and set this back to an 1/8 inch and make sure I didn't move those too far where they start causing a problem with my 1/8 inch spacing. You can use this method to, one, check your spacing between details, and also to check your spacing in the details to provide yourself ample kerf width. That way you get a good solid quality cut the first time, every time. You don't have odd torch crashes, and you have a piece that's nice and structurally sound. Like I say, once you're done, I always set my kerf, or my width, stroke width, back to 10 thousandths, and then I will generally turn the fill back on, hold shift, turn the stroke back off. It won't hurt anything if you save it with the stroke on and send it to your plasma, but just the way I do it, I always turn stroke off when I'm done working on a design, and I'll turn the fill back on. Hopefully that helps some people out. Like I say, I'm not saying it's the best way to do it. It's just another way of doing it. You can do the old school, 1/8 inch circle and go around slowly and keep moving the circle and adjusting details. Or you might find this is, helpful, or maybe a little faster in checking your spacing and your kerf width. Hopefully that helps some people out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.